Welcome to eChiro Training. In this video, we're going to be giving you an overview of the scheduler. To begin with, before we get too far, we'd like to make mention that you always have a helpful resource to you at the sidebar of iPatient Care eChiro EHR. If we click on Help and go to EMR Help, it will always open a window with helpful details and documentation. And even for this video, we'll point out there's a really nice help guide that walks you through all the little buttons and different topics for the scheduler itself. So just note that that's a wonderful resource for you to reference as well. But as mentioned, this training is going to be about the scheduler. To begin with, we can look at the left-hand side of the scheduler. We'll notice up at the top area, there's a way to search for a patient. This actually allows us to queue a patient up to be able to schedule them. If we bring up a patient, we have to put in a minimum of 3 characters. Now, anywhere we click on the schedule to start a new appointment, that patient will be loaded. That's one way to do that. If we need more filters or tools at our disposal to find a patient, we can click on this search button to do more of an advanced find. Just below that on the left-hand side, we have our calendar. We can see the day that we're on today, November 1st is indicated, but we can use our mouse to click on different days. We can also arrow back and forth between different months. Or if we need to zoom out further, we can click on this middle area here, the month and the year, to zoom out, and we can keep zooming out in a sense to past or future years and just continue to go out. Now to go back in, we can always find where we are today by clicking on the blue. We're looking for the blue link, and we can see that'll bring us back right to where we are today. Another option too is this big today button. If we get too far off, we can always click that and it'll bring us right back to today. Speaking of our calendar and our view, some other things worth noting up at the top of the scheduler here, we have a way to arrow back and forth between days if we find that easier to use. But again, the calendar does the same thing. And considering our view, just like a calendar on our phone or other device, we can change if we're seeing the calendar for just today's view, which is pretty common, or we could look at a week view or even a month view of all of our appointments and could look at it that way too. Going further though, on the left-hand side, we have this appointment status area. This is really going to be grayed out unless we click on an existing appointment. So we'll click on Linda Abbott here. And you'll just know that now that we've clicked on her, we can see this is ungrayed out and we can see what this is about. It says no show, and that just gives us the appointment status and the slot time and who set the appointment. Below that, we also have a way to see the appointment statistics for the current day. So we could get an idea of the total appointments and how many fit different criteria or status. And then finally on the left-hand side at the bottom, we have a waiting list link that gives us a quick link to our waiting list, and we can review that. Now sometimes we might want more screen real estate, so we actually have this little button here on the side where we can click on it and we'll hide that left-hand pane for us. So it gives us a little more screen real estate for our day. We'll put it back for now. Going back at the top, we notice we have a way to select our location and provider. So depending on our view that we want to have here, if we want to have it based on a location, we might have a number of locations. We could see the view of those appointments. Or if it was by provider, we just wanted to see maybe a certain provider and their appointments, we could select that radio button, select our provider, and we would see only appointments for them. Okay, we also have buttons at the upper right we'll just mention briefly too. So you'll notice there's a report button. We can click on that to run a number of different reports that the system has available for us. Also under the appointment button, this is a great way to manipulate the appointments in one way or another. So we have the ability to search for an appointment. I'll actually click on this link. This gives us the ability to find free slots that are available. So maybe we want to find an opening. If we have a crowded schedule, we could put the patient in here, put in their criteria, the date range that they want to schedule an appointment or you want to schedule an appointment for, the time frame they have available, the days of the week. Then we can hit search and find open time slots. that are available. So that's a really helpful tool for us. Also under that appointment button, we can transfer appointment. That allows us to transfer a given appointment to another date or provider. We also have the restore appointment button, and maybe we've accidentally deleted an appointment. We can always bring that appointment back by restoring it. Finally, at the upper right, we have a setup button. This allows us to really configure our scheduler. So to begin with, we'll notice there's this setup for all days, and we would go into here to actually begin customizing our schedule for our clinic. So that's a good way to set up the scheduler on an ongoing, continuous basis. But we also have what's called setup for today. So maybe we have a unique day where we don't need as many rooms or providers, or maybe more. You can use setup for today to make a one-time adjustment. We also have under here what's called the blocking scheduler. So we can configure appointment blocks, just like you see in black here, where particular notifications go out to the clinic. That really would be some sort of block. And you'll know if we actually went into the blocking scheduler, we just have the one now, but we can actually set a check mark here to not allow appointments to be added at that blocking time. And we have that for this current test block, but you could uncheck this and still allow appointments to be made during blocks if you desire. Okay, and then finally under the setup button, we have appointment reasons. So this is reasons for appointments, and we can show our reason list. So it would help us to, as we set new appointments, to default the length of the appointment. So we can look at existing reasons, but we can also add additional ones to our list too. And that's just useful when making appointments. Okay, so now we're getting to the main area that no doubt is going to be a bulk of our work that we use this for. So as we get into this main grid, as you could see, it's easily on the left-hand side, we have our time frames, and at the top row here, we have our providers, resources, or rooms. If we look at an existing appointment, like we have Linda Abbott down here at 10:15, you can see it gives us her name for the appointment, her date of birth, a phone number easily available in the appointment itself. We can also hover our mouse over that appointment. That's going to give us some additional details and make it a little larger too for us to see. So we can see the reason for her visit, the adjustment, her insurance carrier is Blue Cross, the time of the appointment, even if she's an established or a new patient. Now we have a wonderful feature here. We can actually click and drag appointments for easily adjusting them. So if we need to move her to a different time in the day, we can just click and drop, and that will drag that appointment to a different time in the day. That's an easy way to change the time for a given day. We can also modify this appointment by right-clicking on it. And this is oftentimes one of the quickest ways to make adjustments, especially if we're just adjusting the status. We can quickly say if this patient has arrived, maybe they've canceled, they're not showing up, or confirmed appointment. Right now, this Linda Abbott is marked as no-show, again, as you can see on the left-hand side here under appointment status. But we can right-click it and choose arrived, and you'll notice that our color indicators will reflect that. But again, when we right click it, we can cut that and paste it or copy it to another location on the schedule. We can modify the appointment. We can also have other available options to us. Maybe we can even go into the patient demographics through modify patient. We can open their chart and more. In addition to right clicking, which is oftentimes the quickest way to update or change things, we can double click on the appointment too, and that's going to open up the full appointment for us. Here we can see the provider. We can make adjustments to the times. The reasons for the visits are over at the right-hand side. What's really nice too, sometimes we wonder when was this person last in, or did they have any future appointments? Well, we can click on this green bar, appointment history at the bottom, and see that past and future appointments, and even gives us a little bit of a statistic. How many times has this person arrived or canceled, no shows, and so on. That can be helpful to staff too. All right, so that's a lot in looking at existing appointments that are available to us. But what about new appointments? Well, you might have guessed we have a couple ways to do that. We can either double click on any available time slot, and that will start the new appointment process, or we can right click on a blank spot and also do add appointment, and both do the same thing. At the upper left, we begin by putting in that patient. If we want some help finding patients, again, we can use this search button. We'll just use another appointment for Linda Abbott by typing in a minimum, again, of 3 characters. That'll load up that patient. We can set the time we want. We need to put in the reason for the visit at the right and fill it out to our content and hit OK. Because she's already on the same day, we also get a notification, so helps us out in that sense too. So again, you'll notice the different color because this has no status at this time, and we just have a more muted yellow color. So that's how we create appointments. If we need to delete or remove them, you notice when we hover over the appointment, there's an X. We can use that to get rid of that appointment and remove it. And that clears it away. There are some other things we can also do in the grid. We could put a note in for the staff if for some reason we wanted to notify everyone of a certain time slot for a certain reason. We could put in a general note, and that note will save into the schedule, and it doesn't allow anybody to put an appointment in. It just opens the note if you click there. But again, you can delete that note if you want. Additionally, we could reserve a slot, so we can right click and choose reserve, and that just puts essentially something similar but says reserve for us. And again, you can't put an appointment in here. You'll even get an error at the upper right, and it could be a nice way to reserve a slot for someone. If you want to actually put an appointment here, you'll need to remove that reserve by choosing unreserve, and then that will go away. Additionally, again, when we right click, we can view our recall list. We could paste an appointment we had previously copied. We could look at our waiting list, or even make something called a quick block. We looked at making blocked off time frames previously. That's more regular, but if we needed to make a quick block for some reason, maybe our lunch hour has changed or we're leaving the office early for the day, for a block. Well, again, hopefully that helps provide a nice overview of the scheduler, just a reminder of that help menu to look at the details, and also provide some nice guidance in using the scheduler. Thanks again for watching.